Ever find yourself, like, wondering how companies manage all those subscriptions we deal with? Phone plans, streaming services, software. It's a lot to keep track of.
It really is. And today, we're going deep on the system that makes it all work, at least from the business side. Asset-based ordering, ABO for short.
And we're looking at this through the lens of, get this, Oracle's own technical documents.
Yeah, might not sound like a page turner, but trust me, these things lay out the nuts and bolts of a system that's everywhere behind the scenes. Practically every industry.
It's like a peek behind the curtain at how all this stuff we rely on actually functions. Okay, so ABO. Oh, where do we even start with something like this?
Well, it all revolves around the idea of an asset, but we're not just talking about a physical object, though those count too.
Right, because my phone is one thing, but then my service plan is a whole other beast.
Exactly. An asset in ABO, it's anything a company needs to manage over time. Your phone, the plan, even the warranty you might add on.
Okay, so it's taking what we normally think of as just an order and making it this dynamic thing with
Yeah.
a whole life cycle.
Right, and that's where the asset repository comes in. Basically, a purpose-built database, but way more powerful than your average spreadsheet.
Hmm.
This is where ABO keeps tabs on everything about those assets.
Every detail, every change.
Every single one, which is where that delta process I bet you've seen comes in. That's where ABO gets really smart.
Okay, yeah, that term was popping up a lot in these documents. What's the deal with that?
So imagine you decide to, say, upgrade your data plan, or maybe switch from monthly billing to yearly. The delta process is what tracks those subtle and not so subtle shifts.
Instead of just wiping the slate clean with a new order every time?
Precisely. It analyzes the differences, updates everything accordingly. Billing, provisioning, you name it.
This is already making my head spin a little, I'm not going to lie. And we're just scratching the surface.
Oh, we've got a long way to go. And it gets even more interesting when you consider that this all has to play nice with a company's other systems, their internal billing, their customer relationship management, maybe even external fulfillment centers if they're dealing with physical goods.
It's like a massively complex web, all these systems talking to each other constantly.
And ABO is right in the middle of it all, making sure the whole thing runs smoothly.
Okay, I'm already picturing this like insane flowchart with information flying all over the place. And this is for thousands, probably millions of orders, right?
Right.
How does ABO actually handle that in real time?
All right, so picture this. The ABO journey. It's basically a relay race with data being passed smoothly from one stage to the next.
I'm listening. Walk me through this relay race. What are the stages?
We kick things off with, naturally, order capture. Simple enough, right? ABO gathers all the info, what you're ordering, how many, any special requests, the whole 9 yards, basically everything it needs to get the ball rolling.
Makes sense so far.
Right.
But I feel like that's also where things could go off the rails pretty quick if they're not careful.
Oh, absolutely. And this is where, honestly, these technical documents get really fascinating. It's not just about ABO collecting data, it's about translating it into a language that all these different systems can understand. Internal ones, external ones, the whole shebang.
Like the ultimate tech-to-tech translator.
Exactly. So ABO has taken our order, made sure everyone who needs to understand it does. What happens next?
All right, you're going to have to tell me I'm hooked.
Next up, order decomposition. Big word, but all it means is ADO breaks that order down into smaller, bite-sized chunks. Let's say you order a new phone and you want a case, you want insurance, you want that 2-year service plan.
The works.
Right. ABO sees each of those as its own mini order, basically.
So my one order on my end is actually a bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes. And ABO is like the choreographer, making sure it all dances together.
Perfect analogy. And to keep everything straight, each of those tasks gets assigned certain attributes, those data points we mentioned before. This is where you see things like item instance side or CL ABO action code coming into play.
Time to decode.
Yeah.
What do those even mean?
Okay, so item instance idle. Think of that as a unique ID for each asset, like a fingerprint. Make sure no two assets get mixed up, even if they're the same product. Then you've got ORCL ABO action code, which is all about tracking what's happening with that asset, add, suspend, resume, that kind of thing.
So every step of the way, my order and all its little pieces are being tracked super specifically, which I imagine ties into billing, right? Making sure I'm only charged for what I'm supposed to be charged for.
100%. Accuracy is key. But let's not forget the next stage of the relay, order orchestration. This is where things get really impressive, if you ask me.
Okay, hit me.
ABO basically becomes an air traffic controller. It's directing traffic between all these systems. Maybe it triggers an invoice in one system, sends shipping info to another, updates your account online.
It's like a symphony going on, and nobody even realizes.
Love it. And then finally, after all that, we reach order fulfillment, the grand finale. ABO confirms everything is complete, your service is up and running, you're good to go.
It's crazy how much happens back there that we just take for granted.
Right.
But, like, realistically, no system's perfect, right? What happens when things go wrong? It really is amazing when you think about it, all these moving parts. But yeah, I mean, stuff happens, right? Orders go wrong, systems crash. What happens with ABO when those perfectly lined up dominoes fall over?
Well, that's where Oracle's, I guess you could call it foresight, comes in handy. They actually built a tool for that, the ABO diagnosis framework, almost like ABO's internal detective, if you will.
So if my new phone service doesn't activate when it should, this framework steps in to figure out why.
Exactly. It analyzes for, like, data mismatches, bottlenecks, can even flag potential issues before they become big problems.
That's pretty slick. So it's not just about fixing problems, but preventing them too.
Right. And for companies, especially those really reliant on ABO, this framework is honestly a lifesaver. And you know what? For anyone who's really into the nitty-gritty of it all, the technical documents actually go into how some of these diagnostic processes work.
Oh, I might leave that for another deep dive, haha. But speaking of details, there's this one concept we haven't talked about yet, delta pricing. And I'll be honest, it sounds kind of intimidating.
Oh, no, it's actually way simpler than it sounds. Remember how we talked about ABO tracking every little change in an asset's life cycle?
Yeah, like it's basically taking notes the whole time.
Well, delta pricing comes in when those changes impact the price. Say you decide to upgrade your internet speed right in the middle of your billing cycle.
Which I've totally done before.
Delta pricing is what figures out exactly what you owe, factoring in what you've already paid, so you're not getting overcharged.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. It's like instead of just charging me for the new higher speed, it's doing the math to make sure it's all fair based on the time left in my cycle.
Exactly. All about that accuracy and transparency for both the customer and the company. ABO takes the guesswork out of it.
This has been seriously eye-opening. We've gone from, like, ABO, what is that, to these crazy in-depth processes.
And the wild part is, this is still just the tip of the iceberg. The coolest thing about ABO is that it's always evolving. As technology changes, as our, buying habits change, ABO changes right along with it.
Which brings us to our final thought for today then, right? If everything's moving toward digital products, services streaming, virtual reality, software you subscribe to, how does something like ABO adapt to manage that stuff? That's not a physical thing you ship to someone.
That's the million-dollar question.
It really is. It's definitely something to think about. All right, well, on that note, we'll leave everyone with that thought to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this peek behind the curtain of how all this tech actually works. Until next time.
See you then.